The stars outside the window of Dock 7 shimmered like broken glass. Inside the food court, the smell of spicy Terran jerky mixed with the sharp scent of alien perfumes and recycled air. Captain Dane Rourke sat at a lonely metal table, his boots up, one hand holding a strip of jerky, the other resting on his belt. He wasn't expecting company, especially not her. She walked into the room like silence wrapped in silk. Tall, calm, and elegant, her skin shimmered with a light gray-blue hue, smooth like polished stone. Her eyes were large and silver, curious but unreadable. She moved like she belonged everywhere and nowhere. Most people in the court stopped what they were doing. Even the android server froze for half a second, sensors trying to identify her species. No match. Dane didn't freeze. Instead, he grinned. She stopped at a counter, pointing at the different human foods displayed behind glass. But she didn't order anything. She just stared, tilting her head like she was trying to understand something much deeper than snacks. Dane watched her for a moment. Then, without thinking too hard, he called out. "Wanna a bite?" he asked playfully, holding up a piece of jerky. She turned slowly, locking eyes with him. Her expression didn't change. He expected a smile, or maybe a confused look. Instead, she walked directly over to his table. She sat down. Without a word, she reached out and gently took the strip of jerky from his hand. Dane raised an eyebrow. She smelled it first, then took the smallest bite. She chewed slowly, thoughtfully, like it was the first thing she'd tasted in years. "It's warm," she said quietly. Dane chuckled. "Usually is. First time trying. Human food?" She nodded. "I'm Captain Dane Rourke, of the freighter Rust Bucket Express." "Don't laugh. I didn't name it." She didn't laugh. She just looked at him for a long moment, then said, "I am Scifi, and by offering food you have fulfilled the ritual of trust." He blinked. The what?" She stood. People were watching now. A few aliens bowed their heads slightly. Others backed away. Dane looked around, confused. "I accept your bond," she said formally. "As is tradition." "Wait, hold on," Dane said, standing too. "I was just being friendly." Scifi tilted her head again. "So was I." Before he could respond, a loud chime rang out from the corner of the room. 3 tall, armored beings walked in, same skin tone as Scifi, but with sharp armor and symbols glowing faintly on their suits. They approached slowly, bowed deeply to Scifi, and spoke in a language Dane's translator chip struggled to decode. When they finished, one of them turned to Dane. "Human, you have offered food to the Lady Scifi. She has accepted. She is now recognized as your bonded superior within the Treaty of Relicon." "I'm sorry, what?" "You will escort her to your ship. She now holds command until the rite is completed." Dane laughed out loud. "Yeah, no. That's not happening. She's not even on my crew." Scifi gently placed a hand on his shoulder. "Captain," she said, soft but firm, "I would not dishonor your customs, but you have honored mine. We are bound now." He stepped back. "Lady, no offense, but I don't even know what species you are. I offered you a snack, not a job." She blinked slowly. "And I accepted both." Back on the Rust Bucket Express, the crew wasn't sure whether to panic or party. "Let me get this straight," said Nia, the pilot, chewing gum like it owed her money. "You gave her a piece of jerky and now she outranks you?" "She says it's a cultural thing," Dane muttered, pacing on the bridge. "Some kind of trust ritual." "And you didn't read the Treaty of Relicon before signing it?" "I don't read treaties, Nia. I fly cargo." Scifi stood near the star map, silently studying their route. "Is she gonna steal the ship?" whispered Jed, the mechanic, peeking out from behind the engine room door. "No," said Scifi without turning, "but I may improve it." Dane spun around. Look, you can't just come in here and take over. There's protocol. Sashari finally turned to face him. Protocol was followed. You offered. I accepted. The treaty was written by humans. Your own law honors mine. Silence fell. Dane rubbed his face. This is insane, but part of him was curious. Something about her calm confidence made it hard to stay angry. She wasn't trying to take anything. She was just playing by rules Dane didn't understand. The crew watched her with a mix of awe and confusion. She didn't bark orders. She didn't push anyone around. But the way she walked the corridors, inspecting systems and speaking with crew members, it was like she already belonged. By the end of the day, she'd solved a routing error in the nav system, balanced their cargo manifest better than the ship's AI, and found a leak no one else had detected. Okay, Dane said finally, arms crossed. You win. You can stay. Seshari gave him a slow, graceful nod. I already have. Captain Dane Rourke stood in front of the bridge doors, arms folded across his chest. The doors didn't open. Computer? He said calmly. Why are the bridge doors locked? Access restricted, the ship's computer replied. Command now registered to Seshari of House Velen. Dane's eye twitched. Of course it is. He took a deep breath, stepped back, and turned to his crew who had gathered in the hallway with popcorn, coffee, and way too much curiosity. She locked you out? Nia asked, chewing on the end of a pen. Yep. You gonna do something? Dane looked at the doors again. Yeah, I'm gonna knock. He knocked, 3 quick taps, like a polite guest. The doors slid open slowly. Inside, Seshari stood at the central console, her hands moving over the controls with calm focus. The stars outside moved slightly as the ship adjusted course. Captain, she said without turning. I assumed you were resting. I was trying, Dane said, stepping inside, but then I found out someone changed our destination without asking me. I reviewed your planned cargo route, Seshari said. Your second stop had a 32% risk of pirate interception. I optimized the route for safety and fuel efficiency. I didn't ask for optimization, Dane said. I asked for you to observe, not take over. Seshari turned to face him. And yet, your own treaty laws gave me command rights. I'm simply using them for the benefit of your crew. He sighed. You know, you're starting to sound like a very polite invader. A soft smile touched her lips. Then perhaps you should stop feeding invaders spicy jerky. Behind him, Nia snorted. Dane looked around the bridge. Everything was quiet. Too quiet. Where's the rest of the crew? He asked. They're resting. I encourage them to take personal hours. Ship maintenance has been scheduled during non-peak cycles. You're running my ship like it's a palace. It's running better, isn't it? Dane opened his mouth, then closed it. She wasn't wrong. In the mess hall, Jed and Mal, the ship's mechanic and security officer, were playing cards. She fixed the pressure leak in Deck B, Jed said, throwing down a 3 of clubs. She rerouted engine power during our last jump and saved us 2 hours, Mal replied, dropping a queen of hearts. Jed grunted. She also reorganized my entire workshop. I can actually find tools now. Mal looked around the room, then leaned in close. Don't get me wrong, I like her. But don't you think it's weird? One snack and now she's the queen of the ship? Jed nodded. Weird? Absolutely. But have you seen Dane? He's smiling less. That means he's thinking more. Later that evening, Dane sat alone in his quarters, staring at a datapad filled with legal text from the Treaty of Relicon. It was all there in black and white. Article 17, Section C. Any diplomatic representative of a bonded trust species, once formally accepted via a cultural gesture, may temporarily assume advisory or command privileges aboard the host vessel if such action ensures mutual safety and cooperation. He dropped the datapad onto the table and rubbed his face. Great job, Rourke, he muttered. Next time, offer her water. A soft chime sounded. The door opened. Seshari stepped in, holding a small tray with tea. real tea, from his private stash. "Am I interrupting?" she asked. He shook his head. She placed the tray on the table and sat across from him. "I thought you might want to talk." Dane looked at her. "You mean apologize?" "I mean, share concerns." He laughed, tired. "All right, here's a concern. This is my ship, my crew. I've earned their trust over 10 long years, and in 2 days, you've changed everything." Scifi nodded. "And they follow you still. That tells me you've built something strong. But change does not erase respect. It reveals it." Dane sipped the tea. "It was good. Too good. You know," he said, "the last time someone tried to take control of my ship, we ended up in a 3-day engine fire. And yet here we are. No fire." They sat in silence for a moment. "I don't want your command," she said quietly. "Not forever. I needed sanctuary, and you gave it to me. I saw how you treat your crew, with humor, with care. I knew I'd be safe here." Dane raised an eyebrow. "So this was all planned?" "No, but I took the chance when you offered it." He shook his head, then smiled despite himself. "You're dangerous." She smiled too. "Only to those who underestimate kindness." The next morning, alarms sounded. "Incoming vessel detected," the ship's AI announced. "No transponder code, approach vector aggressive." Dane rushed to the bridge. Scifi was already there, calmly viewing the scanner data. "What is it?" he asked. "A scout ship." "From the outer line. Raiders. You know them? They know me." He turned to her. "Any chance they just want to chat?" "No." The ship trembled slightly as the enemy vessel fired a warning shot across the bow. Dane sat down in his chair. Scifi didn't stop him. He looked at her. "All right," he said. "We do this my way." She nodded. "Agreed. I'll follow your lead, Captain." The crew rushed in, taking their stations. For the first time in 2 days, everything felt normal. Again. Except Scifi was still standing beside him, like a second-in-command who had always been there. He looked at the screen, eyes narrowed. "Let's show them what a cargo hauler with backbone can do." Red lights flashed across the control panels. The enemy ship was close now, dark, fast, and shaped like a blade. "Shields at 83%, Nia reported from the pilot's seat. "They're scanning us." "Don't respond," Dane said, standing, behind her with his arms crossed. "Let them wonder." Scifi stood to his right, calm as always, but her fingers tapped lightly against her arm, a quiet rhythm that told Dane she was more alert than she looked. On the screen, the pirate vessel sent a signal. It wasn't friendly. "Translation complete," the AI said. "Message reads, surrender the alien female or be destroyed." Dane rolled his eyes. "Of course. It's always about her." "They're mercenaries," Scifi said. "Paid by my enemies. They want to drag me back in chains." "Not on my ship," Dane said, his voice firm. "I don't care who sent them." Mal, the security chief, stepped forward. "We're not built for battle, Captain. We've got minimal weapons." "We don't need a war," Dane replied. "We need a distraction." Scifi turned to him. "I have a plan." Dane raised an eyebrow. "Why doesn't that surprise me?" Down in the cargo bay, Jed and 2 crew members were busy preparing a fake escape pod. Inside it, instead of a person, they packed an empty suit with a wig, some blankets, and heat sensors to mimic a life form. "They want Scifi?" Dane said. "Let's make them think she's leaving quietly." "But if they catch the trick?" Jed asked. "They won't," Scifi said. "They want me alive. They won't risk damaging the pod." She was right. The crew launched the pod. From the side hatch, away from the enemy's line of fire. As predicted, the pirate ship shifted course, speeding toward it like hungry wolves chasing prey. "Now!" Dane shouted. "Full engine burn, Nia!" The Rust Bucket Express jerked forward with all its power. The ship wasn't fast, but it was clever. They dove toward a nearby asteroid field, a dangerous place, but full of cover. Are we really doing this? Nia yelled, dodging between spinning rocks. Oh, yeah, Dane grinned. Let's see if those pirates like playing tag. The asteroid field was rough. Massive stones tumbled across space like slow-moving wrecking balls. The rust bucket swerved between them with surprising grace. They're still chasing us, Mal warned. And closing in. We need more time, Dane muttered. We can't fight, and we can't outrun them. Seshari stepped up. I know this region. There's a cave in one of the larger asteroids. I used it once before to hide from bounty hunters. Dane blinked. Of course you did, she tapped the map. Here. Nia turned the ship toward the coordinates. The cave was just big enough. The rust bucket slipped inside, lights off, engines cold, silent. The pirates scanned the area but didn't see them. They're still looking, Nia whispered. But we've got a few minutes. Good, Dane said. Let's talk. Back, in the war room, a small meeting room with a cracked screen and a table made from scrap, Dane, Seshari, and the senior crew sat around, planning. So, Dane began, tell us what we're really dealing with. Seshari nodded. My homeworld is in chaos. 2 houses are fighting for control. I belong to House Velen, known for peace, trade, and science. The other, House Trenak, rules through fear and money. They've sent pirates, spies, and assassins after me. And if they catch you, Mal asked, they'll make sure no one listens to House Velen again. Dane leaned back. And by taking you in, we're in the middle of that war now. Seshari looked at him, steady. I didn't mean to drag your crew into this. I thought I could hide quietly, but now I don't want to run anymore. The room went quiet. Then Nia stood up. Well, if we're already in this mess, we might as well clean it up. Jed nodded. We've taken worse jobs. Mal gave a half smile. And she did fix the cooling system. Dane looked at them, pride in his chest. All right then, let's finish this. Outside, the pirate ship began to circle again. They're preparing to fire into the asteroid, the AI warned. Dane stood. Time for our second trick. The rust bucket powered up suddenly, blasting out of the cave at full speed. The pirates reacted fast, but not fast enough. As the enemy ship turned, it caught a chunk of asteroid straight across its wing. Sparks and metal flew into space. Direct hit from rock number 12, Nia said, grinning. Nature's revenge. The pirates recovered quickly and chased again, but Dane had one more surprise. He opened a secret channel and sent a distress ping using a very old Alliance code, one that only long-range patrol ships would recognize. You really think someone will come? Jed asked. I'm betting on humans being unpredictable, Dane replied. 10 minutes later, a giant Alliance patrol cruiser jumped into the system. Whoa, Nia said. You really called the cavalry. The pirate ship turned tail and jumped. To warp immediately. They knew better than to fight an Alliance cruiser. The rust bucket drifted in silence for a moment. Dane let out a long breath. Well, that worked. Seshari stepped beside him. You could have given me up. Let me go in that pod. He looked at her. I don't sell out people who share my snacks. She smiled. In my culture, that makes you a sworn protector. He sighed. Of course it does. The calm after the raid felt like a heavy blanket over the ship. The crew moved quietly, still shaken, but relieved. Captain Dane Rourke sat alone in the dim light of the observation deck, staring at the endless stars. The door slid open softly. Seshari stepped in, her silver eyes reflecting the starlight. She didn't speak at first. Finally, she said, There is something you should know, Captain. Dane didn't look at her. This isn't going to be one of those, I have a secret. Talks, is it? She smiled faintly. It is. He turned to face her fully. All right then, tell me. Seshari took a deep breath. I am not just a visitor or a diplomat. I am heir to House Velen. Dane's eyebrows shot up. Heir? Like royalty? Away, she said. My house rules a system of planets dedicated to peace and science, but right now, our world is torn apart by a civil war. My family fights for control. The other house, Trenok, uses pirates and mercenaries to hunt me. Down. Dane leaned back, the weight of her words sinking in. So this isn't just a random attack, it's a war. Yes, and by sheltering me, you have placed your crew in the middle of it. He stared at her for a long moment. Why didn't you tell me sooner? Because I wasn't sure if you'd believe me or trust me. Dane shook his head slowly. You do realize this means we're no longer just smugglers or traders. We're players in galactic politics. Seshari nodded. And I don't expect you to follow me blindly, but I hope you will stand with me. Before Dane could answer, the ship's alarm sounded sharply. Incoming transmission, the computer announced. Seshari's expression hardened. It's them. The hollow screen flickered to life, showing a tall figure in dark armor. It was Commander Narek, leader of House Trenek's forces. Captain Rourke, Narek said, his voice cold and harsh. Return the traitor Seshari to us or face destruction. Dane met the glare without flinching. This ship flies where I say. You'll have to come through us, Narek sneered. You underestimate the power of House Trenak. Surrender now, and I may spare your crew. Seshari stepped forward. I will not return. The transmission ended with a warning tone. Dane looked at Seshari. Well, that escalated quickly. In the mess hall, Dane gathered his crew for a meeting. We've got a target on our backs, he began. House Trenak doesn't want Seshari to live. They'll come after us. Nia folded her arms. So what do we do? Run? No, Dane said firmly. We fight smarter. Jed nodded. We've handled worse odds. Mal's voice was low but steady. We need allies, and we need a plan. Seshari cleared her throat. There is a way. A secret alliance hidden in the outer rim. If we can reach them, they will help. Dane raised an eyebrow. Sounds risky. Seshari smiled faintly. Nothing worth doing isn't. The next days were filled with tense planning and quiet preparation. Seshari worked closely with the crew, teaching them strategies from her world. Dane watched her with a growing respect. One evening, he found her in the engine room, inspecting the ship's core. You're full of surprises, he said. She looked up, smiling. And you're full of stubbornness. They shared a quiet laugh. They prepared to jump to the outer rim. Dane stood on the bridge looking out at the stars. Seshari, he said, whatever happens next, I'm with you. She nodded. And I with you, Captain. The stars stretched ahead, a path into danger and hope. The mess hall was quiet, but tense. Crew members gathered around the long table, eyes full of worry and resolve. Captain Dane Rourke stood at the head with Seshari by his side. The holographic star map hovered above the table, showing the rough outlines of the outer rim. We're close to the secret alliance, Dane began, his voice steady. But this isn't just a simple meeting. This is a negotiation with some of the most dangerous leaders in the galaxy. Seshari nodded. The alliance is made up of many species, some who don't trust humans or House Velen. We need to show them that our cause is just and strong. Nia crossed her arms. So what? We walk in and hope they like us? No, Seshari replied. We need to be ready for politics spies and maybe worse. Mal's eyes narrowed. Assassins? Possibly, Seshari said. But if we survive, we gain powerful friends. Dane looked around the room. We've survived worse. Let's get ready. The journey to the outer rim was tense. The crew stayed alert, watching for any signs of pursuit. When they arrived, the space station was unlike anything Dane had seen. It was a massive floating city, part market, part fortress, buzzing with aliens of all kinds. Sashari led the way through winding corridors and crowded halls. Eyes followed them, some curious, others suspicious. "We need to meet the council," Sashari explained quietly. "They're the real power here." At the council chamber, leaders from different species sat around a huge round table. Some had scales, others feathers, many wore elaborate armor. Their eyes studied the newcomers carefully. Dane felt out of place, but stood tall. Sashari began, "Honored council, I bring greetings from House Velen and ask for your support against the tyranny of House Trenak." A tall, sharp-eyed alien with glowing blue skin spoke first. "Why should we trust a human and a princess from a house in civil war?" Dane stepped forward. "Because we don't ask for trust blindly. We offer proof. We have faced danger together, survived attacks, and stood for what is right." A murmur went around the room. Sashari added, "Our enemy uses fear and control. We want peace, science, and freedom." One of the council members, a heavy-set being with many eyes, leaned forward. "If you are serious, prove it. Help us stop a recent pirate attack that threatens the station." Dane exchanged a glance with Sashari. This was a test. Back on the ship, the crew prepared for battle. The pirates had been attacking supply lines and terrorizing the station's trade routes. Naya checked the engines. "Ready when you are, Captain." Mal loaded weapons. "Let's give those pirates a lesson." Sashari reviewed the attack plan. "We strike fast and smart. We use the environment to our advantage." Dane nodded. "Then let's get to work." The battle was fierce. The pirates were ruthless but unprepared for the combined tactics of the Rust Bucket Express and the station's defenses. Sashari coordinated with Dane, directing maneuvers and defenses with calm precision. The crew fought bravely, pushing the pirates back. At one point, a pirate ship targeted the station's power grid. Sashari led a small team to disable the ship before it could cause disaster. Dane watched from the bridge, heart pounding. He saw his crew risking everything, and Sashari leading them. When the last pirate ship fled, the council's leaders appeared on the hollow screen. "You have proven yourselves," the blue-skinned leader said. "House Velen's cause has allies here." Sashari smiled softly. "Thank you." Dane felt a new respect growing in the room. They were no longer just survivors. They were leaders. Later in the mess hall, the crew celebrated quietly. Nia raised her glass. "To the captain and the new boss." Everyone laughed. Dane raised his glass too. "To teamwork." Sashari looked around, her smile warm but thoughtful. Dane caught her eye. "What now?" She took a deep breath. "Now, we prepare for what's coming next. House Trenak won't stop." Dane nodded. "Then we won't either." The stars above the station flickered with tension. Inside the Rust Bucket Express, Captain Dane Rourke stood in front of the command screen, watching the fleet of Allied ships prepare for battle. These weren't warships. They were a mix. Cargo, freighters, old patrol cruisers, even mining vessels, refitted, rearmed, and ready to fight. Beside him stood Sashari, calm and steady as always. But he could tell. She felt the pressure too. "This is it," Dane said quietly. "The big one." She nodded. "House Trenak is coming with everything they have. They know the Alliance supports us now. If they can crush us here, they'll scare the others back into silence." "And if we win?" Dane asked. Sashari's eyes met his. "Then peace finally has a chance." The bridge doors opened. The crew entered. Nia, Mal, Jed, and the others, all in uniform, all ready. Dane turned. To them. "Everyone knows the risk. Nobody here signed up to fight a royal war. But you stayed. That means something. Today we show House Trenak that humans don't bow easy, and neither does this crew." The room was silent for a heartbeat. Then Nia spoke, chewing gum like always. "Let's give 'em hell." The battle came fast. House Trenak's fleet dropped out of warp. sleek, dark ships with heavy weapons and sharp angles like sharks in deep space. They opened fire first. The rust bucket shook as blasts hit their shields. "Return fire!" Dane shouted. Allied ships responded, chaotic but strong. Miners used their tools as weapons. Traders turned cargo containers into guided missiles. Scifi moved through the bridge like a dancer, calm, focused, giving quick orders. She rerouted power, coordinated with ally captains, and even calmed a panicked pilot on a nearby ship. Dane watched her, both impressed and proud. She wasn't just a royal. She was a leader. Down in engineering, Jed and Mal worked nonstop. "Cooling systems overheating," Jed shouted. "We reroute or we cook," Mal grunted. They worked side by side, hands dirty, fixing problems faster than the ship could break. "You ever think we'd be in a war?" Jed asked. Mal shrugged. "Figured it might happen one day." Back on the bridge, an enemy warship locked onto them. "Brace for impact!" Naya yelled. The blast hit hard, knocking out one of their engines. "We're spinning!" she shouted, gripping the controls. Dane grabbed the side rail. "Stabilizers now!" Scifi quickly tapped into manual override. The ship slowed its spin just in time to avoid crashing into a nearby ally vessel. "Target that warship," Dane ordered. Naya's eyes narrowed. "Got it." A moment later, the rust bucket fired a direct hit at the enemy's main cannon. It exploded. In a burst of flame, cheers rang out through the ship. Then came the message. A communication line opened. Commander Narek appeared on the screen, face twisted in anger. "Scifi, you should have surrendered when you had the chance." "You had your chance," she replied, voice cold. "Your allies are weak," Narek growled. "They'll leave you." "No," Dane stepped forward. "Because they've seen who you really are." Narek's face darkened. "Then I'll burn you all." The screen went black. The enemy launched one final strike. A massive battleship headed straight for the station. "If that thing hits," Scifi said, "thousands will die." Dane's jaw tightened. "Then we stop it." He turned to his crew. "New plan. We're taking the rust bucket in close, real close." "Captain," Naya said, wide-eyed. "That's suicide." "Not if we time it perfectly." They flew directly toward the enemy ship, dodging blasts and missiles. The enemy thought they were crazy. At the last second, Dane shouted, "Now!" Scifi hit the trigger. From their cargo bay, they launched a special payload, scrap metal laced with explosive charges. It attached to the enemy ship's outer hull just as the rust bucket dove beneath it. The enemy tried to turn, but it was too late. Boom! The massive battleship cracked. In half, fire and debris spreading in every direction. The rest of House Trenac's fleet panicked and retreated. The battle was over. They had won. Back at the station, the crew was greeted like heroes. People cheered. Flags flew. Even the council members who once doubted them now stood to applaud. In the middle of it all stood Scifi and Dane. "You've done something amazing," Scifi said softly. "So have you," Dane replied. "You led people. You gave them hope." She looked at him serious. "And what will you do now, Captain?" He smiled. "What I always do. Eat snacks. Fly the stars. Get into trouble." She laughed, a real joyful sound. "Then I hope our paths stay connected." He leaned closer. "Well, you still outrank me, so I guess I better behave." She handed him a piece of Terran jerky. "Want a bite?" she asked playfully. Dane took it with a grin. "Not again. That's how all this started."